Hello everyone and welcome back to Aunt Vicky's Craft Corner. Today I'm going to tell you a story about Hancock County, where I grew up. This is called The Ambush of the Sheriff. I was doing some research recently. We have in where I grew up, there's an old jailhouse that was used up until 1995, and it was built in 1860, and it's now the Genealogy Society, and it's kind of a museum. And I was thinking about maybe I should go over there and do a tour of it and show you. It still has the rings in the floor where they would chain the prisoners and such. So I thought about maybe doing that sometime, but I got to thinking things that happened in where I grew up. And I thought of this, I remember hearing this story lots and lots and lots when I was growing up. And it was about the time that our sheriff was ambushed by 6 men, he and some deputies. And there was a battle that went on. So I got to looking up and I found a couple articles online, one of them being from a newspaper in California. There was quite a few stories done on this at the time, but I wrote the story. I wrote the article out because it was online and it was kind of small, and I thought I would go ahead and read it to you what the article said. There's 2 articles about this. One of them was about the incidents and one was about the trial. If I have time, I will read the one about the trial in this video. If not, I'll make a second part and read that to you and tell you what happened with that. It was weird. It was it was mind-blowing. So, as I stated, this story is about the ambush of the Hancock County Sheriff in 1961. There was some bad blood between these 2 factors in this story, and the guy decided to ambush the sheriff and to antagonize him into coming to where he was. And he was set up that there were people that are waiting for the sheriff. And that's, that's a big story. If a small community such as Hancock County, which, as I said, it's usually around 6,000 residents, and it reached as far as California. The sheriff didn't expire. The sheriff recovered from this, but there was 3 deputies that lost their lives in this battle. So I'm now going to read you the article that I found online from this occurrence. It's pretty gruesome, but if you don't like this kind of stuff, I advise you not to listen. But this is something that did happen, and I remember, it was before my time, but I remember I've heard about this all of my life. So I'm now going to read you the article. Ambush of Hancock County Sheriff. Verlin Maxey was the sheriff of Hancock County. On April the 22nd, 1961, a brief but furious weapons battle left 3 Hancock County officers expired, and the sheriff left near expired, and cast a pall over the small mountain town. Fatally wounded Saturday night were sheriff's deputies Alex Morris, age 48, A.J. Tyler, age 50, and Constable C.B. Oakes, age 35, all of Sneeville. Sheriff Verlin Maxey, age 50, was wounded in the left arm and abdomen, beaten and stomped. He was reported in fair condition at a hospital in Knoxville, 70 miles southwest of Sneeville. Officers said 6 men had been booked on fatally wounded charges, pending further investigation. Investigators pieced together this account of the battle and events leading up to it. About a month ago, Maxey arrested Oakes on charges of drunkenness and speeding. The grand jury exonerated him. I wrote this out so I could, because, it's tiny, tiny print, so I wrote this out so I could have it to refer to. Ill feelings developed between the two men, and according to the deputy sheriff, Elwood Hurd, the sheriff warned Oakes he intended to enforce the law. Saturday night, Hurd related, Oakes and two companions sped past the sheriff's parked cruiser. The sheriff and Hurd gave chase. Oakes pulled his car into the driveway at the home of his father, Matt Oakes, about half a mile from town. Meanwhile, a second sheriff's cruiser containing deputies Morris Tyler and Hubert Seals observed the chase and followed. As the officers sought to place Oakes under arrest, shots erupted. Morris and Tyler fell mortally wounded. The sheriff was downed with wounds to the arm and abdomen. Hurd was knocked to the ground and stomped. But he drew on the assailants. Oakes was hit and expired of a wound to the chest. Coroner John McNeil, who was also the mortician in Hancock County, arrived at the scene before the battle was over, said he found a heavy man with a red, spattered undershirt stomping the sheriff in the face and standing over him armed. McNeil said the assailant, whom he couldn't identify, prepared his weapon and said he stomped on the sheriff's head and said, "He ain't gone, but he soon will be." McNeil said he shoved the assailant aside and with the aid of his 15-year-old son, John Jr., who later became mortician in Hancock County, put the sheriff in the ambulance and drove to Knoxville. TBI agent J.H. Bauer identified those charged as the assailants as Matt Oakes, George Myers, age 57 of Sneeville, 3 of Myers' sons, E.A., age 31 of Sneeville, Earl, age 34 of Franklin, Ohio, and Carl, age 38 of Miamisburg, Ohio, and James Allen Horton, age 19 of Sneeville. So, that was the article that was written about what happened. Now, I'm going to read you the report of the trial. This was just, this is what I found. It's like it stopped at the end of the trial when they were found, when judgment was passed on them, whether they were guilty or not. So, this is what it said. Myers was tried along with others, jointly indicted upon 3 first-degree indictment charges. First-degree unaliving of Lon Tyler. Second charges, first-degree unaliving of Alex Morris. And third indictment charges of assault with intent to commit unaliving in the first degree upon the body of Verlin Maxey. Said offenses are said to have occurred in Hancock County on April the 22nd, 1961. All the cases came on for trial in said county on September the 18th, 1961, and on completion of the proof on September the 29th, 1961. The jury required to consider the guilt or innocence of all 3 defendants after having properly instructed by the trial judge. According to stipulations of facts, in this case, the jury returned to open court at about 9:30 p.m. on September the 29th, 1961, when the court made the following inquiry. Gentlemen of the jury, have you agreed on a verdict? The foreman answered, "We have, Your Honor, please." The court, what are your verdicts? The foreman, we have them written down here. Is it all right if we read them? The court, yes, any way you want to. The foreman, this jury finds on circumstantial evidence Myers guilty of second-degree unaliving of Lon Tyler. The jury finds on circumstantial evidence Myers guilty of second-degree unaliving of Alex Morris. This jury finds Horton guilty of felonious assault on Verlin Maxey. This jury finds Myers guilty of assault on Verlin Maxey. The jury finds the other Myers, the Myers boys, not guilty. The court, so say you all? If so, raise your right hand. All jurors raised their right hand. The court then made inquiry of the jury. What do you fix the punishment in these cases? The foreman, Judge, we left that up to you, Your Honor. The court has no authority to set a sentence in this kind of case. The court can sentence only in misdemeanor cases. Gentlemen, it is your duty to fix the punishment in the bounds so set in the charges of the court in each of these cases. I will have to let you go back and see if you can agree on that. The jury then retired and considered further of its verdict, and upon being returned into court on the same evening, they reported that they were unable to agree, the colloquy between the court and the foreman being as follows. The court, gentlemen, have you now agreed on the punishment in each case? If so, foreman, no, sir. We cannot reach a verdict on that. The court, gentlemen of the jury, I am going to have to let you go back and see if you can agree. The jury again retired and reported at a later date on the same evening, at which time the foreman said that he thought the jury was hopelessly deadlocked. The court then inquired, well, did you agree on the punishment in the felonious assault cases? Foreman, no, Your Honor. The court then ordered that the jury remain together during the night and that the court was adjourned until 9 a.m. on September the 30th, 1961. At this time, the court made inquiry of the jury after they returned to open court. If verdicts had been agreed upon, the foreman answered, no, Your Honor, we are in worse shape than we were yesterday. And they agreed that they will withdraw any convictions or anything they said to you or anything that they passed on and give it back to the court. And that goes for all of them. The court, by that, do you mean you think there is no chance for the jury to agree? Foreman, no, sir. We absolutely don't think we can agree. The court, on guilt or innocence or punishment either. The foreman, no, sir. The court, does that apply to the defendants as acquitted? Foreman, that applies to everyone, Your Honor. The trial judge then sent the jury back to consider further, and upon return to the court, it again reported it was unable to agree, and the court said, now, gentlemen, I have to discharge you for counsel on especially for the state. The defendants don't have to agree, but it is generally agreed that you cannot agree. I want to say this to you, and we must enter a mistrial. Now, as I understand it, you have not agreed as to any defendants, as to any charge. Is that right? Foreman, that's right. So that's all I found on it. So basically, what happened was they found 3 of them guilty, and because that judge said he couldn't hand down sentencing because he could only do that in misdemeanor cases, so they were sent back to try to find a punishment for them. Well, they couldn't agree on how to punish them. They were sent back, still couldn't do it. Sent back again, still couldn't do it. So because of that, the 3 of them were exonerated and they were found not guilty. But because they couldn't agree upon a punishment, they decided to pull the guilty verdict. And as if the trial had never even happened, and the judge had to declare it a mistrial. So, can you imagine? I mean, I'm not saying what they should have had happen to them, but could you imagine being that sheriff and the families of those deputies having to sit through this trial, and those people found guilty, and then because they couldn't agree on a punishment, they decided to rescind the judgment. I mean the verdict, and had a mistrial. Could you imagine having to go through a trial, relive all that stuff that happened, and than to just have it thrown out. That had to be hard. Now, Sheriff Verlin, I reckon he lived out the rest of his life. He was sheriff for one term, and his son also became sheriff in Hancock County. This blew my mind. I mean, I had heard about the incidents, the ambush that happened. You know, that's a well-known story. And I did not know that, though, about the jury and the trial. So that was interesting, to say the least. Like I said, where I grew up, it is full of history. I have lots of other there's a story about a sheriff who passed away, and his wife had to take over the rest of his term as sheriff. My cousin happens to be married to the grandson of that couple. So if I can, I may get the information on that and try to tell that as well. And I am going to go, and I'm going to try to take a video. I think the old jailhouse, if I can, I will insert a picture and show you what it looks like. I'll do that at the first, and I'll do it here too. But I don't have pictures of the inside, I don't think. But I do, I think I can find one of the outside. It's still standing. And I have memories of that jail. I remember that jailhouse being in operation. I remember when they built the newer jailhouse to house state prisoners. And it was interesting, to say the least. I have stories of the Melungeons that live in Hancock County. I have stories of, oh wow, there was a flood that hit Hancock County. I remember that vividly. I've actually spoke of that in Brooke's video, the one where we got trapped across the creek from my parents. I remember that vividly. I remember the civil defense had to come in because it was so bad. It actually flooded on my wedding day. And I was married in December, and it flooded. And I remember when we left, we had, the way my husband had come in, some of them had to backtrack and come the other way because you couldn't get through because of the river. But like I said, Hancock County is rich in history. Oh, I have an awesome story. And it's about, they called her Big Haley. Her name is Mahala. And this was way back. And she was considered the best moonshiner in Hancock County. People come from everywhere for her moonshine. So this is a very interesting story that I will relay to you as well. I'm trying to think if there's others. I also need to take you, my husband mentioned something last night, and I'm very interested in doing. I'm going to go, and I'm going to just walk around the town of Sneedville and video and show you what it was like. I'll show you where I went to grade school, where I went to high school. That high school is no longer a high school. I think it's government buildings now, government offices now, but they built a new one a couple of years ago. There are, oh wow, there's people that were from Sneedville that are, like I mentioned earlier, or that are well known. There's lots and lots and lots of stories I could tell, and I think I'm going to have to sit down, and I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to talk to my mom. My mom, I know, has some stories to tell, some that I don't remember, some that came from my grandpa. My dad has stories to tell. My dad's a Baptist preacher, as I have stated before, so he's well known in Sneedville. Last I heard, he was the oldest living, still active preacher in Hancock County. My dad is fixing to turn 84 the 15th of this month. So, very proud of him. He's still preaching. Still in that stand every Sunday. And I'm so proud of him. So I know he has stories to tell. My mom has stories to tell. And I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to do a lot of research. I know I'm just repeating myself. But I love my hometown. It's like I said, it's rich in history. So I hope you enjoyed this little piece of history. Like I say, I'll try to do some more. If you all are like this, let me know. Comment down below and let me know if you enjoyed this, and I will try and do some more. So, until next time, come back again. Don't forget to like, to subscribe, to hit that notification button, and to share this video. Bye.